everyone, and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host, Aaron, and for today's video, we're headed to the world of Path of Exile 2, but more importantly, Path of Exile 2 tier lists. I have been on YouTube over 5 years. This will actually be year 6, and we're approaching 2,000 videos posted. This is my first time I am ever making a tier list video, and let me tell you why I am making it. Path of Exile 2 dropped on December 6th, and we have played it now 270 hours. After yesterday's stream, we passed the 270 hour mark, which is a ton of gaming for basically 1 month the game has been out. And in those 270 hours, we have not jumped around to different ascendancies. I have played 270 hours of Witch, Infernalist, Minion Army. And after yesterday's stream, I finally finished testing the last minion, which was zombies. And I get asked all the time, every day, probably every hour, Aaron, what minion should I play? What do you recommend? What's good? What's bad? What sucks? So I said, okay, I have fully tested over this month every single minion. I will make a tier list video, and it should be, I don't know, it should be a pretty short video, I think. So we are on our single-use tier list right now, S, A, B, C, and D. And I just figured we will start with the Ds and work our way up to the S's. So I'm just going to talk about it one minion at a time. The first minion we're going to talk about is Unearth, and Unearth goes into the D column. If you don't know about the skill Unearth, when you cast Unearth over a corpse, it makes a little crawling minion, and then it'll kill enemies, and you can have a huge army of these Unearth minions. I believe you can get up to 22 of them. Now, Unearth, when you are mapping, is actually a very good skill if you only care about clearing maps quicker. Unearth is literally useless against a boss because to actually make those minions, you need a corpse. And since you don't have a way of generating constant corpses, Unearth becomes garbage or useless during single target. And that is why it is in the D column. Now, I should probably say this before we go any further. Every single minion in this game, literally all of them, probably other than Unearth, all of these minions right here can push all content. So if I say something in the D column that is your favorite, don't take offense to it. We have pushed the hardest T22 bosses, the most juiced maps, with every single minion. So if you have the gear and you have the passive tree, you could literally play anything. Just some is stronger and quicker than others, okay? Just putting that out there. If your favorite minion's in D, you could still clear all content. First minion in D, garbage, is Unearth. The next minion that goes in the D category is zombies. Now, I just want to say right off the bat, if there is a single minion that has a chance of jumping from D to S tier, it is zombies. They're like right on that, man, if they could just do this, they would be so much stronger. But zombies are garbage right now. Yesterday, we were playing the full day with making power charges and then casting empowered zombies and trying to use those zombies, which you can have 10 of, but you can't use offerings on them. They don't auto revive. You got to figure out a way to make power charges. You got to figure out a way to have corpses. If you run too far away from them, they all die. They're slow. They're melee. There's so many problems with zombies. That being said, as we get new uniques, as we get new skills, new weapons, if there is a way for minions to easily make power charges in the future, where the minions are creating the power charges and then you're just casting empowered zombies all over the place, they can really jump from D to S, but in their current state, they are not very good. The third minion that goes in the D category is Skeletal Warrior. Now, before we talk about Skeletal Warrior, if there was an F category, Unearth and zombies would be an F, and Skeleton Warriors would be in D. I do think Skeleton Warriors are much better than Unearth and zombies. That being said, compared to the other minions, they are still pretty weak. Decent damage, decent life, but there's just nothing special about them. You can have a huge army of Skeleton Warriors, but then you got to deal with like insane body blocking and surrounding the enemy. And when they surround the enemy, only the inside ring of them are actually attacking. Just not in a great place, Skeleton Warriors. Okay, so that is the D, Unearth, Zombies, Skeleton Warriors. Moving up to the C category, and even though I'm ranking this minion low, it is probably my top 3 or even top 2 minion that I've probably used the most, and that is Brutes. Brutes holds the C category by itself, has tons of life, does tons of damage. The problem with Brutes is, one, most people use them not as damage dealers, but as Detonate the Dead. Since they have the most life as a minion, and Detonate the Dead scales off of minion life, most people don't actually use them other than to blow them up, which in that case, they are good. But for a minion that is doing damage, they cost the most, they are the biggest, they body block, they get trapped literally everywhere. And even though they do a ton of damage and a ton of life, they're just not in a good spot. I really, really hope that Brutes continue to improve and they get some buffs, because it is definitely my playstyle. I like that kind of Golem-mancer, big minions walking around just tearing people up. So having less minions but stronger minions, I like that playstyle. But Brutes right now, unless you're blowing them up, not in a great place. Moving on to the B tier, and we are going to start with Storm Mages. Now, Storm Mages, the way most people play them is in the shock form. So it doesn't matter what build you have, you take 2 or 3 of these Storm Mages, you give them all shock, and when they shock enemies, enemies take 20% additional damage. So they are good in pretty much every single build. They are a decent damage dealer if you spec fully into them and use a couple of unique items as well. I do like the Storm Mages, but it's just basically a ranged damage dealer. Nothing overly special. I think they are probably in a good spot. That's why they're in the B category and not lower. Moving down to another B minion, and that is Reavers. Now, Reavers, I would say, when it comes to skeletons, is the best melee minion. They do a lot of damage. They're pretty quick. You can have a ton of them. They don't body block each other as much because they are smaller, and they love rage. So if you get enough of them on the battlefield, especially in an open map, they literally disintegrate everything. Reavers are in a pretty good spot, and if they do fix body blocking, which means they could easily traverse up and down terrain, they can move through bridges and corridors and doors, Reavers will likely be the best minion in the game and meta for Witch. Just the fact that they still can't easily traverse is why they are B and not an S. And the last, I'm looking at my list right here, and the last minion for the B tier is Clerics. Now, Clerics are the minion you normally take when you have a little bit of leftover spirit, because they only cost 16, 17 spirit, and they do help keep your minions alive and revive quicker, but there's just nothing special about them. You can put them in any build if you want to, use the exact same supports, and they're just not exciting. They are definitely useful. I know a lot of people that say you have to take at least one cleric. It just makes it so much easier. That's why they're in the B category. I think they're just an average minion that most people will take one of. Nothing exciting. Everyone builds them the exact same way. Okay, so that is B, C, and D. We are now moving up to the A category, and the first A is Arsonist. Now, for Infernalist, obviously it is a fire army build, and this is the fire attack minion. And it has great AoE. It actually has got good range, good attack speed, and it scales perfectly with everything fire. So there's a reason why Arsonists are meta. It's because they just fit personally. They fit really, really good with the Infernalist. Everybody's used them. I made 3 different builds using Arsonists. They have a decent attack. They have a decent ability. They scale with Flame Wall. Awesome. They are an overall great minion, and they're close to S tier, but I didn't want to give them that S tier because there just is minions that are better. But Arsonists overall great minion for Infernalist. The other minion that maybe people are surprised about, probably one of my favorite minions in the entire game, is Frost Mages. Frost Mages do a lot of damage, but more importantly, Frost Mages give you CC. If enemies are frozen or chilled, they are not attacking you. So not only do they do great damage and they have great synergy with the other minions, but if everything's frozen, you have amazing DR. Frost Mages, if they get a little bit of support, might be the S tier minion in the future. I really, really like them. I think they're undervalued in the game, and that's why I've ranked them so high in the A category. Again, everything frozen, you aren't dying. And the last minion in the A category is your Loyal Hellhound. Now, the Loyal Hellhound, kind of like Clerics, nothing special. Most people build them the exact same way. But what makes the Hellhound so good and an A tier is very simple. It auto-revives, you get a free 6 link, and it doesn't cost any spirit. So, like why would you not take this minion, which is why everybody takes it? I don't think they're overly special or they're very exciting. I don't think you could make a build around your Loyal Hellhound, but it also takes 20% DR for you. So you have 20% damage reduction because it's absorbed through the Hellhound. So I've got to put it on this list because it's so good and you have to take it. But again, nothing overly special. Now that leaves us to the last 2 minions, which I consider S tier, okay? And again, every single minion can push all content in this game if you have the gear and the levels. The first S tier minion is SRS. Now, let me explain why. You get 10 minions for 30 spirit, and they don't body block. They can go through anyone, and minions aren't, or enemies don't target them. They can be killed, but basically they expire. So you get 10 melee fire physical minions that only cost you 30 spirit. They could easily traverse through any map. They are unbelievably good. They are definitely a meta minion in my opinion. But that being said, okay, if there is one minion that could drop from A to S all the way to D very, very quickly, it is SRS. If GGG makes it where they are only alive half the time, or they cost double the spirit, or you can only cast 2 of them at a time instead of 5, this minion will fall like a rock, which actually I expect it to do. But I'm not making this tier list based upon what's going to happen in the future. I'm making this tier list about right now. And SRS costing only 30 spirit to get 10 minions that are basically unblockable is unbelievable. And of course they are fire, so they work perfectly with Arsonist, Flame Wall, and Infernalist. And the final minion, unequivocally, the best minion in the game. I think it is S++++ tier, and that is Snipers. They are so damn good. Let me tell you why. 1, they are ranged. So yes, you don't have to worry about the body blocking as much, but they can attack enemies from afar, and they have a really good range. They are also good in literally every single build because you could set them up for support. You can make it where they are poisoning enemies, where they are breaking armor. You can use their gas arrow on ignite, which works perfectly with fire. You could set them for just straight multiplicative damage. You can have the arrows pierce. You could have the arrows fork. There is so much you can do, and in my opinion, there's no reason to not use snipers. Yesterday when we were testing zombies, since zombies don't cost spirit, I just took 16 snipers, and people are like, this isn't a zombie build, this is a sniper build. So I literally had to like remove snipers to actually test to see zombies, which is so silly because I'm purposely making myself worse to just see how bad zombies are. But ultimately, you can literally roll the dice, take any 5 supports, throw them in snipers, make 16 snipers, and pick any map you want and be very, very successful. Even we were joking around, we set them into support only and took them out as damage dealers, and they were still tearing T15 maps apart. Snipers, my opinion, S+, the best minion in the game. So that's my recap. Obviously, this is just my opinion, and I know I'm saying this for the 3rd time. Even if Skeleton Warriors, which I just released a build guide for, is your favorite minion, any of these can push all content, and the minion I've actually used the most is Brutes. So I like melee minion. I really hope they do something about the body blocking, but S tier, SRS Snipers, A tier, Arsonist, Frost, and Hellhound, B tier, Storm Mages, Reavers, and Clerics, C tier, Brutes, D tier, Unearthed, Zombies, and Skeleton Warriors. So that's my tier list. I want to know your opinion. Aaron, is it you're crazy, you're way off, everything should be reversed? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe if you think I've earned it. I stream every day, Aaron Action RPG on Twitch. If you want to come check out some gameplay for Last Epoch, POE 2, Torchlight, Diablo, we play them all. Best way to support is Patreon, and check out the Discord, approaching 4,500 members, and we do a game giveaway or merch giveaway every 2 weeks for just being a member of the community. I'm done. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.